Man, I have to tell you, you've heard me say this before, Mike, but we talk so much about band directors and get questions from band directors about what it is that they could do to make their life easier, or things that they could do that just some advice from people that have been there and done that. And I'm so appreciative of the fact that you let me hang out. And sometimes I give myself the false notion that I've been there and done that. But I've been on the receiving end of so much of it that I do sometimes have observations about what was a great director, and what maybe could have been better. But at the same time, we all kind of started as a student,
Hmm.
or as somebody who joined band for the first time, and some of us just happened to stick with it longer than others. But you've heard me tell this story before, that I don't think I don't think I would be the person I am if I hadn't had the experience of being in the bands that I was in, the choirs that I was in, and had the experience I had as a young person, if it hadn't been for those experiences.
Hmm.
So that was a long and winding road to say that I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to learn from great teachers, that I had the opportunity to grow into a better person through the experiences that school music afforded me. And so that all sounds kind of deep and serious, but I hope that that resonates with you as well.
Oh, no doubt. I grew up an Air Force brat, and my dad was in the Air Force. So you always kind of we moved a lot, as military people do, and you kind of get used to that whole idea of you make friends and you have friends for like 2 years, then you move and then you forget all of them completely.
Yeah.
They're no longer exist in your life, and you move somewhere else and you start new friends. And I kind of operated on that procedure. And then my dad retired when I was in sixth grade, after my sixth grade year. And I started on trumpet that year in Twining Elementary in Grand Forks, North Dakota,
Oh,
at
wow.
the Air Force Base. And that's where I actually kind of started in the summer, because they were just trying to get their band program going. And I just thought it was kind of a cool thing, because my mom, just a little past history, she was in Chief Davidson's band in Plainview. She was a
Okay.
clarinet player, at the time. And so she kind of got me hooked onto this. It was a recorder, but it had like clarinet keys. So I was learning all these songs and she was teaching me songs and stuff. And so, kind of winding as well, Derek. But, when I got to Iowa Park, and that's where my mom and dad decided they wanted to settle, because that's where all my mom's sisters were like within driving range. And kind of a dark moment, but I asked my mom one time, why did we all go to Iowa Park? She said, because all of us sisters, because there was like seven of them, and they said, we all knew that our husbands would die first. And that's
Okay.
statistically, and said, but and we didn't want to be alone. So, and sure
Sure.
enough, that's exactly what happened. They're still, most of them are still alive. My mother has passed, rest her soul. But they're still all within about 10 miles of each other in that Wichita Falls area. But it gave me a chance when I joined band to all of a sudden I bumped into people and developed relationships that were different than any other relationship I'd ever experienced. And so it was not near as much the music. And that kind of changed my whole perspective as an educator, that it wasn't about the music, it was about the experience of what was happening to you as a person. And we just use music as that bridge.
Right.
So I think I'm really thankful for those people that kind of took me in. My best friend of all time was Russell Shaver. I met him, I think, my first day at Iowa Park. He was in the band, and we went to junior high band together, high school band together, college band together, marched in the Skyriders together. I was best man at his wedding. He was best man at my wedding. He passed away a few years ago in a boating accident.
Oh,
And so I lost him. But he really shaped my life. But if it hadn't been for, and I'm not saying I wouldn't have had those relationships maybe somewhere else, but I don't know. I just knew that in band, there's still people I talk to on a weekly basis that our only connection is somehow through music.
right.
So I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah. And, not My experience wasn't necessarily like that, but I was always kind of through whatever environment. I'm way older in as far as my siblings, and so it was always kind of a interesting situation. But when I walked into the band hall as a seventh grader in Midland, Texas, I'm telling you, it was pretty quick. I found a community that I hadn't felt before.
Hmm.
This is not the sad story, but I wasn't a very good athlete. Short, kind of stocky. Was never a very good athlete. Never got picked first when they were doing the football games out on the playground. And frankly, I was just kind of one of those. I was that kid that you're like, are you paying attention to me? Because I might not have been looking at you or even acted like I was listening to you, but I did. I was learning. But when I hit the band, man, music has always been my language.
Hmm.
Whether it's helping me process emotions, whether it's teaching me how to say something's beautiful, music has always been that for me. I'm
Hmm.
that guy that bugs everybody else. Oh, come listen to the lyrics of this. And everybody else is like, I'm busy. No, you got to hear the lyrics. You got to hear this music. You got to hear these chord progressions. So when I found band, I found community, and I found people that didn't go, "Hey, weirdo," or if they did, "You're our weirdo." And so that sounds way deeper than it needs to be. But the truth is, I found community.
Yeah. And people find that in whether they're in theater arts or they're choir or band or whatever the activity, or like my son did band and did athletics, and he found two sets of families.
Yeah.
So it's not limited to us, but it just happened to be what resonated in our hearts. And I remember listening to my son when he'd be really stressed out and he'd go back to his room as a high school kid. I'd hear him playing his guitar or playing his keyboard, and you could tell that's how he was dealing with the stress. So I
Right.
think it's a very emotionally healthy thing, and it's something I'm thankful for. And it's something that, as directors in this season, maybe we can kind of see ourselves in that role as just as important or more important than teaching the grade 2 piece of UIL concert music and working on the rubrics for sight reading.
Oh,
Those are
that's
important.
awesome. Yeah.
Those are important things, but sometimes it's my first day on the job. I came in to Throckmorton, Texas, second semester. The director before me had gotten fired. And so I was a brand new teacher, and I thought I knew everything. But you know what I did for my first hour of my teaching day that day? Some kid, they'd redone the front of the school, and some little baritone player had gotten brand new Air Jordans. Remember those?
Oh, I
You
do.
know, and they were something. He'd walk through the mud up to his
Ah,
ankles. So I spent the first, he was crying. So my first experience as a band director was sitting at the sink where we clean the horns in Throckmorton High School Band Hall and cleaning his Air Jordans very carefully, and even getting out Q-tips and cheesecloth and all that stuff to clean them up. And so I always look back at that and think, I think God was looking out after me instead of having a kid come up and go, "Can you explain the minor mode in Dorian to me? And Aeolian, or is this pure minor?" And instead it's a kid just crying his eyes out because he had these brand new from Christmas Air Jordans that were only 6 days old or
yeah.
7 days old. And so I think God was looking out after me. He's like, "I'm going to show you, Mike, what's really important." Now, did I learn my lesson? Not really. I sort of did, but it took a while for it to really sink in.
But like you, as I think back in my junior high and high school years, most of the great memories I have included people that were in band with me.
Hmm.
I mean, even to this day, we're both uh, we affectionately refer to ourselves as old men. But it's been a few years since we were in junior high and high school band. But I'm still telling you some of my favorite memories in the world as I look back in my life were people that I was in band with and in
Yeah.
choir with. And at the same time, as I flip that and think of as a band director, we've talked so many times about what's most important in what we do. I really some of my best life lessons, not always the most pleasant life lessons, but some of my strongest life lessons came from those directors who I allowed to speak into my life because I trusted them
Mhm.
because they demonstrated that they cared as much about me as they did what I could do for them.
Yeah, and that community is so important. I always love on Facebook or social media where they'll post, wedding announcements, and I'll post back, said, "Another marriage made possible by the Wiley Pure Gold Band." Because
That's
they
great.
both met in band, and, in fact, my son
Right.
and my daughter-in-law met in the band program. Otherwise, they'd have probably never met each other.
Right.
But, so it is it's a cool vibe to it.
Awesome. Well, I just wanted to take a moment to kind of think about that stuff together and out loud. And to any of our friends who might check in to this, I think it's worth your time to take a moment to recognize the things you're thankful for and to recognize the people that you're thankful for that have gotten you to where you are. And, maybe even as a teacher now, remember how thankful you are for those young people that are in front of you. Because I think you'll agree with this, Mike. Sometimes we get taught as much as we teach.
Mhm.
But, and, without getting too sappy about it, I'm pretty thankful for you. I enjoy this, love listening to you, share the things that you share. And I hope that it is a meaningful thing for other people besides us two guys just looking at each other on a computer screen,
And I tell you what,
rattling.
with these people who are our mentors, I just had a very strong mentor of mine, Mr. John Simpson, passed away at the age of 83.
Mm.
Now he was a DCI Hall of Famer, but I remember talking to him on the phone about a year and a half ago, and I just want to throw this out there. I'm not asking for this to come to me, but there's some power in a handwritten note. I just did a handwritten note thanking him for all the things he did to help me as a young college kid while I was marching DCI and trying to go into college in the winters. And I've got a whole box full of things I've received, and there's something really cool about that. So if there's a mentor out there that really meant something to you, just a nice little handwritten note or some way of just saying something to them. I like to find those people, and I wish I'd have taken the time to go up and visit him in Kansas. But you know how it goes in life, Derek. It was like, oh no, we're starting up the Skyriders again, and he
Right.
was our Skyrider. Oh, I've got time. I'll be up there this summer.
I'll get around to it.
I convinced myself I had time, and
Yeah,
I didn't have time. I should have just taken the time just to. It's not like I'm that busy. I could have driven up there
sure.
and taken care of it. So I appreciate all the stuff you do, and I appreciate the store for underwriting this bizarre project we've put together.
What a great way to call it. A
Yeah,
bizarre project.
this weird science experiment that we involve ourselves in on a weekly basis. So
I was
we're hoping
telling
it
Rick,
does help
by the
someone.
way, we're almost up to starting season 3. Who'd have thought it?
I counted it
So,
today. We've got 77 episodes.
wow. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for what you do. I think that's such a great word for our friends out there. Don't don't pass up an opportunity to tell someone thank you. It means
Yeah.
more than you might realize. So,
Oh yeah.
all right, brother, enjoy your leftovers.
Will do.
Are you going to have any? I don't know. Your new svelte you, how you're celebrating Thanksgiving.
Turkey is acceptable. I just can't have a lot of pumpkin pie.
All right.
I can do turkey.
Perfect. All right. Well, happy Thanksgiving, my friend.
You too, Derek.